Hi everybody, nice to see you again. Thanks for joining me today on this beautiful day. In the studio, I'm carrying on from where I left off last time. I spoke to you, excuse me, if you can remember, that I introduced this lamppost here and got rid of a few people. And I said at that time, I'm going to repeat myself here, that there were a couple of children playing around this lamppost here, which I said I'd take out, and I have taken them out now. I'm going to introduce them here into the foreground because I think it's a little bit more important than to put them into the background. So that's what I'm going to work on today. It's changed a little bit since you saw it last time and will continue to change. However, at the moment, the way it is that this is the sketchbook. You've probably seen this earlier on. These are the children playing on the lamppost, a couple of girls playing. If you had a piece of rope in those days, it was like hen's teeth. You kept hold of that piece of rope because that meant you could, these lampposts, they weren't lampposts to us, they were recreational vehicles, and that's the way we used to treat them, and nobody bothered you, just played around them. It wasn't dangerous, quite easy to do, and you took your rope. Never forget your rope, or take your rope with you. So what I'm doing is I'm going to put that out of shot for a bit. You won't be able to see it, the sketchbook. I only need it there so I can refer to it. This is the only reference I've got to these sketches that I've done previously, and I find it's better to work from from these sketches rather than anything finished. There's a kind of rough idea, and the rough ideas are normally, to my mind, and are usually the best to work to. So first thing we do before anything else is we get our trusty cup of tea, and this is just because we're like octogenarian and old on the outside doesn't make us that we shouldn't be kids on the inside, and that's what this is all about. I'm still in there, I'm still playing, so this is it. This is what I do, and this is part of my lifestyle. So thank you, Mickey. Grew up with Mickey. Right, here we go. I'm going to pull this over a bit. Bear with me because I'm only just working on the germ of an idea at the moment, and I'm thinking about something here. I hope this registers all right. I'll do my best. Roughly here, I'm looking at shapes at the moment, and a little bit of a dynamic action. There's plenty going on, and I want to keep that movement flowing through it. Flowing through the painting, I mean. So here we go. That's roughly where I want that particular figure to be. This other one is going to be somewhere. Again, bear with me because this is the germ of an idea I'm working on, and it could change. It will evolve. It will evolve. It will be different. But at the moment, it's basically the way I would work at this stage, and that's really what I want you to see to get the general idea of it, of where I would be, how I would go about interpreting these particular actions. So I know you probably noticed I've gone a bit quiet here today. Normally I'll waffle on a bit and bore the socks off you, but however, this one is something which is not trickier but different, and I borrowed these, or snatched these two ladies from over here and brought them here, so the size and the dynamics of it changes. So I'm just putting, excuse me, I'll just go back a bit, bring Mickey round. And just to remind me, along here, you know, obviously they're off the floor and there will be shadows coming on and reflections. Just to remind me for later on. Right, so
were there any playgrounds at all when you were children?
the playgrounds, the odd thing is, it wasn't just the playgrounds, there were a distinct lack of trees, of foliage, of greenery of any kind. So playgrounds, the nearest one was about an hour's walk from where we were, near enough an hour's walk. And of course we did walk it, in fact we ran it and walk it, you know, depending. And yeah, I went to often to the local parks. The nearest one was what we call Gorton Park near Bellevue, where I grew up in Manchester. And that particular area was beautiful. I mean, it's full of trees and, you know, the playground itself and the bandstand going on a Sunday morning. It was lovely, that was. However, this is a typical scene of the immediate area where I live. So for miles around, it was blocked and blocked and rows of terraced houses, often with smoke bellowing out. As you can see, now there's quite a bit of smoke bellowing out of these things. And it was like that pretty constantly, to be honest with you. So when I said earlier on that these particular, like the gas lamp, wasn't a gas lamp to us, it was a recreational vehicle. It acted as like a tree. To us it was a tree, so we threw the rope around it, we swung around it, as you would do with a tree, you know, that's what we did there. And basically that's the way we treated it. So at the end of the day, you know, we didn't have a parkie coming up and saying, hey, you can't do that. You know, we did have the odd bobby come up and just look at us and walk off. You know, they were like that because he had kids of his own and they were around the corner playing on another lamppost, so it didn't matter. So we were quite safe. We weren't doing any harm. You know, we were out playing, and you know, it was basically a decent atmosphere to play in, especially after it had rained and it had cleared the street up, and it was sweet and pleasant to be out. You know, even had a slight aroma to it, which it didn't have before the rain, even though it was a bit acid in it because of the smog, but later on it became sweeter. And we did have sunshine, by the way, a lot of it. I'm just blocking this in for now. I'm using liquid to sort of water my mixture down, and I'm just using a lamp light just to give me a shadow to work on. Not every artist does it, but it's the way I work, and it suits me. get some paint on here, because often I'll find myself scratching for paint, and I heard an expression one time, an artist, I forget where it was, it might have been a Russian, who said, your palette is hungry, put some paint on it. And I remember that. And you've got to have paint to paint. So here we go. Put it on, don't mess about. It's not wasted, it's just, you know, you can keep paint for quite some time if you don't mix too much accelerator with it. All I'm doing is putting blocks of colour in at the moment. I'm not putting any detail in it. It's not ready for detail yet. I have a method with these brushes, and it's called chaos. So I never know where the brush is. I was just saying that it's gone eerily quiet at the moment, but it reminds me actually of the time when I was talking about the thick fog, or smog as it was in those days. I had a paper round when I was 13, 14 years of age, and I knew these streets like the back of my hand. I had it for a couple of years, so, and I could walk them blindfolded. So when that fog came, that smog came down, that thick pea super as they called it, and it was, you couldn't literally see 2 meters ahead of you. I didn't need to. I knew where I was going by instinct. My papers went in the right place. But I remember it clearly. The weird thing about that time was that the quietness was unbelievable. If you stopped, all you could hear was the odd factory hooter, you know, that early in the morning when I was out. You know, it could be, you know, 6:30 to 7 o'clock. And but it was palpable. You could hear nothing but just see this smog in front of you, and then you'd hear the odd footsteps coming towards you, and you'd think, where's this coming from? It was like something out of a psycho film, you know, Alfred Hitchcock or whatever. Weirdest thing, and I remember that to this day, you know, in a thick pea super of a fog, and the quietness was deafening, you know. Put some paint out. Skin tone. I'm using some burnt sienna. Yeah, it's a lovely golden colour, golden brown. A little bit of cadmium yellow, made a little bit of white here and there, and just a touch of black too. Or you could use blue, you could use green, tone it down a bit. But for this exercise, this is the way I'm doing it. What I'm going to do here before I forget is to put this rope somewhere up there. These ladies are using. I'm going to use this because it's a tight rope. They're sat on it. You know, this girl's about to sit on it. This one's definitely sat on it. And what you did with the ropes, you threw it around the top here, around the bars at the top. And as it came down, it came right round you and came back up again. So you usually use your coat or your jumper or something to act as a seat. Then it wouldn't dig into your bottom, you know. what I'm doing here is there are different light sources coming in. You've got light from over here, you've got a little bouncing light over here, main source coming here, but you've got these shop lights. So what I'm doing is putting a little bit of reflection from these shop lights here onto the shoulders and the head of this young lady. A little bit on this one. See, what I don't want is too much detail. I don't want the detail at this stage anyway. In fact, I don't want much detail at all. I just want to put a suggestion of detail, and some paintings deserve more detail. Some paintings fail if you put too much detail in them. In other words, you've got places where there are obviously no detail, not meant to have. So if you put too much detail into certain parts of a painting, it laughs at the rest of it, and that doesn't work. It doesn't please the eye, and sometimes the viewer can't always understand why that is. They just know they don't like the painting. Something doesn't grab them. It doesn't seem right. And quite often it's things like that, you know, balance, etc. That causes it. what I want to do here is, now we're at this stage where I'm working on this area, this lamppost and the children, is to make a little bit of sense of it for you as a viewer. Is I'm going to put some light on in the lamppost, in the gas lamp, because it would be coming out. The lamp light has been around, as you can see. It's becoming twilight. The corner shops and other residents have to start turning on the lights. It's really dark in there now, and these lamps would be coming on at this particular time. So I'm just going to do that right now, so that you can see what effect that'll have as it progresses. Now there was a strange glow about these lamps. First of all, I'm going to do this. Just on the outside of here, you'll get that. Obviously, it's not contained completely in there. The light bounces around. And what I'm going to do at the moment is to just introduce some of that light into the background, onto the shop awning, onto the shop signage, just to show you that this is what would happen around this area. Breaking up the colour here so it's not too monotonous. I don't want too much of a vignette on it. I want to see some brush strokes. I'm not using much paint. I'm not an artist who slaps a load of paint on here, you know, and I don't want to scratch with it either. What I want to do is just load enough to be suitably economical for this particular part of the painting.
In 40 minutes.
Right, all right, we just do this bit here. Excuse me. What I'm going to do next is I'm not going to do it now because I can't, because it's wet. But where you see the lamppost, it's a solid blob of colour. Yeah. Now you don't see that. You see like an aura around it, like a halo around it, and especially at night time, you know, in twilight like this. So that's going to appear around it. I can't do it now because it's too wet, and I don't want to make it too tacky and have to struggle with it. So the idea now is to let it dry a little, 24 hours, and then come to it tomorrow and just put a little extra aura around it so that the light spreads and splays out, as you would see in normal life. You know, if you half squint your eyes, you can see this happening. So look, I'm going to leave it at that for now, and we'll come back to it again another time. So thanks for watching, and say goodbye to Mickey. Bye bye, Mickey. Adios, amigo.